And you're live, Amadea.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming to our online virtual UN Day. Um, we all know that we would love to be here in person together, but this is the next best thing, so thank you all for joining us today. As you can see, Mr. Ryan has posted in the chat the event schedule, so everybody can kind of just keep track of what's going on. So yeah, feel free to turn on your cameras. I'll do that right now, so we can all be here together. So, and Ryan, was there somebody in particular that you had in mind to help say hi and do greetings and stuff, or?
I guess what I could do is introduce them, and if they wanted to say hello to our students and our guests, they could. But first off, we have our ASSC president for the year of 2020-2021, Carlos Ungo. Hello, Carlos. Thank you for joining.
Hey, people.
And then we have our other co-host, which is Elaine Arroyo, who has done a fabulous job this semester of being our Commissioner of Activities. Hello, Elaine.
Hi, everyone.
Awesome. And did you possibly, Amadea, did you want to introduce any of your officers for United Nations?
Okay, so I'd love to introduce our new Deputy Secretary General, Umaima. Would you like to say a few words yourself and then maybe introduce the next person, or?
Hey, that's a good one. Maybe you can introduce the next person, but I can say hi, guys. I'm Umaima, and I'm the Deputy Secretary General for the Mali UN Skyline.
It seems that our other executive officers, if you guys just want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, that'd be cool. Jasmine?
Oh yeah, I'm Jasmine. I'm also going to be doing a little cultural presentation today, and I'm one of the executive members of Model UN. Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is actually our second year doing this, so we're excited to see, because the schedule and the plans for today were very flexible, and we'd like to thank everybody who is involved in the performance section of today for donating their time, effort, and talent to us today. That said, we could give a little bit of background on what Model UN is, if you guys would like to talk about that, and about what the UN as a whole does. The UN is a multinational, international organization that essentially works together for the betterment of humankind as a whole, and it's really cool. So they have a bunch of different organizations. One of those organizations has been popularized very recently because of the whole COVID situation. For example, that's the World Health Organization, and how they've been sharing data and trying to figure out how to best and most effectively deal with the pandemic and all the problems that we're facing at hand. So as you can see, the UN has a pretty big role in all of the world affairs. So it's cool for us Model UN students to be able to emulate that and practice the kinds of skills that would help bring the world together as a whole. And just as a quick background on the goals of the United Nations, they have about 17 sustainable development goals that are about, for example, sustainable communities and cities, managing how to keep life underwater healthy because of oil spills and pollution and things like that, to make sure that as a whole we can survive, and not just survive, but thrive as a community, as a world community, and as an international community. Umaima, would you like to say anything else about the UN or perhaps Alexander, since you have a lot of experience with this and the UN, and you have your whole, he has a flag of the UN in his room, and I think he said that he has the National Declaration of Human Rights hung up somewhere, so he's a cool guy.
I have my flag in the background, the blue. The UN is a transnational, it's essentially like this meeting place for countries across the world. And you have things like the General Assembly where non-binding resolutions are passed, countries that sign it don't actually have to take action. And then you have more binding places like the Security Council, which of course authorizes things like the UN invasion, or sorry, the US-backed invasion into whatever country, say Korea.
Well, thank you for that introduction. We're kind of just giving a little bit of time for everyone to just settle in. An hour can be a long time, especially if we're all just sitting around, but we hope to make this as an interactive experience. So if you guys have anything to say, comments, and just talking, go ahead. We love seeing stuff in the chat or just unmuting mics and just talking. But in the meantime, we'd like to start the performance portion of the event. So I've been informed that they are referred to as the Tupana Sisters. If they would like to begin their performance or the video, or just demonstrate what their talents with us.
I'll go ahead and share the screen. It was created this week, and it was created especially for Model UN and ASSC. We would have had them come to campus. These two sisters, I'm married to one of them, but they're both from French Polynesia, and actually their connection to the UN is very unique. Their aunt and uncle are part of the delegation from French Polynesia, who has been traveling to New York City in 2018 and 2019 for the United Nations meetings to decolonize Tahiti. So basically make a grand exit plan for France to leave their islands, and they're having the United Nations to help them with this process. So in honor of their island and French Polynesia and Tahitian culture, we'd like to present this piece to you. Thank you.
Today, and also it's an honor for me to represent my island, which is Tahiti, with you guys and share my culture. And I want to give a big thank you for ASSC to invite me to represent my island, and I make a little video for you guys. I hope you're gonna enjoy, and happy United Nations Day, everyone.
That was great. Oh my gosh. I could feel like the soul like put into it. Like I could feel the soul just like emanating from like her dancing. That was amazing. Seriously. So thank you so much. Is there anything that you'd like to say to add on? Or
Actually, I'd like to invite them to come in, say hi to you guys. Hold on.
Hello, everyone.
Anything you want to say about it?
I just want to say thank you to all of you for inviting Tahiti to be part of this day. And I hope everyone enjoyed the video that was made with love. And also, like, I'm so thankful to have that day to represent my island. And of course, because I have my sister with me, so why not? And happy National Day, everyone! Julie, viens enlever.
Just press stop video.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Thank you. It was so nice.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
thank you so much for that. That was great. I didn't realize that we'd actually get to talk to them, so that was cool. All right, so on with our next performance. We have Jasmine Ma, and she has her art pieces that she's done. If she wants to talk more about that, please do. Please welcome Jasmine.
Hi everyone. I can't turn my camera on right now, but I'm very happy to be able to present my art today. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, but do they have a link to the Padlet? If not, I could drop the link to my gallery Padlet in the chat and you guys can check it out for yourself. So hang on, let me share the link with you guys right now. And then I'll also share my screen and go over just a couple of my favorite pieces and the ones that I want to share. So in the link right now, you guys can click on that and then it'll take you to my Padlet. And I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys see this? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So just a little bit about my gallery. It's just a couple paintings that I've done this year and mostly this past month, actually. And most of them are inspired by just my heritage, and I'm Chinese, full Chinese. And my parents were the first people in my family to come to America. And I just wanted to make art that connects with my roots. And one of the most important people that inspired a lot of this is my grandpa. Here you can see a photo of me kind of in the center with him when I was 1 year old and we were in China. He was one of my best friends and he passed away earlier this year in June. But a lot of my art is just about him and inspired by him because he was the first person to probably draw with me. I don't remember, but one of the first people to draw with me, and we just have hundreds of paintings and drawings together that we would draw. And whenever I was at his house and he was watching me, we didn't know what to do, we would just draw together. So he's very special to me, and I wanted to dedicate a lot of my art to him. And one of the things he told me before he passed away is that I should enter my art into art contests because he wants me to go further with it. So that kind of inspires me to just work harder and know that he wants me to do well. So yeah, you guys can read through the things, but a little bit about me is I'm 16 years old and I am for the most part self-taught. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through and do a quick scroll and then I'll pick a couple that I want to talk about. This one, hang on, let me figure out I don't know how to make it big, but this one with the rabbit, it's called In the Clouds, and it's a painting of just a simple rabbit in the clouds. Nothing too special, but the meaning behind it is something that's very deep for me. The day before he passed away, we went over to his house, and he wasn't feeling well. And I just sat there at the dining table with him at 11 p.m. and we were just drawing while the grown-ups were talking, I guess. And I don't remember what I drew, but he drew rabbits and he cut them out. And he drew 4 of them and gave one to each of us grandkids. And I didn't know that he was going to pass away the next day, but that's very special to me because that was the last thing he ever drew. And I just wanted to recreate that and draw a rabbit, which kind of represents him looking down on us from the clouds, just watching over me. And then another one this one's probably my favorite, the one with the koi fish. This is just this painting I did when I was super stressed out with midterms, and I just put everything aside and painted this and kind of let my stress go away while painting. So that's just one that I very much like. And this one in the middle with the horse, that's done in a traditional calligraphy style, which I'm not too familiar with, but I'm starting to get there. But it's just my namesake. So in Chinese, my last name is Ma. Well, that's English too, but it means horse. And I painted this also because my spirit guide is a horse. So it's a very special animal to me. And yeah, you guys can go ahead and look through the other paintings that I have there with the small descriptions. And I just wanted to finish it off by dedicating it to my grandpa. And though he's no longer here with me or with us, I guess, I know he's very proud of me for how far I've come because last year I had a very rough year and I picked myself up this year and I'm getting better grades and just I'm where I want to be. And for the past couple months, whenever I'm down, it's maybe a coincidence, but every time when I'm having a rough day, I'll go outside and I'll see a sunset. And in my mind, that's how he's letting me know that he's still here. And basically, he's painting the skies because that's what we used to do together. We used to paint, we used to draw. And every time I see a sunset, it reminds me of him because it's my it's his way of painting the skies to let me know that he's still here with me. So I included a couple of the photos of sunsets that I've seen in the past couple months. And yeah, I'm glad that I could share this with you guys.
Thank
Jasmine,
you so much.
I didn't know you were gonna try to make us cry today.
Seriously, seriously.
But Jasmine, please keep these in good condition. We would love to feature these at the Center for Student Life when we're back on campus, if we ever go back. I'm staying positive that we will. We'd love to have a special gallery and do a little event to honor your paintings and let you show this work to the students. That'd be great.
Thank you. Yeah, I have more that I've started, but I haven't finished. So there's more to come. And yeah, I'm just really grateful that I could share what I have with you guys. Okay, I stopped sharing.
Jasmine, thank you so much. I actually had like a question, because you were saying that your spirit guide was a horse. Could you tell us more about that? That's cool.
So recently I've just been connecting with myself more and doing shadow work. I don't know if you know, I won't go into like too much detail, but it's kind of just discovering yourself and your own faults and kind of bringing that out and exploring that. So one of my guides, I guess, that you could contact through meditation is a horse. And it's pretty cool to me because my grandpa, and Ma is the last name that's passed down to me, of course. So it's just kind of the animal that I look to and just really like as well. So yeah.
That's so nice. It's really beautiful to see how you've used like animals and nature, and like how that allows you to connect with your family, because of, you know, with the rabbit, I saw a lot with the fish, like it's just to help you find like your balance and your inner peace through that. That's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Does anybody feel anything? Like, let's talk about it. We have a few minutes before the next section. Like, does anyone? No, because I don't know, the rabbit story. I already have like I have like a connection thing to rabbits. I have a pet rabbit, so like I was already drawn to the bunny photo, to the rabbit photo. But then when she gave the whole backstory, I was taken away. So yeah.
I can just say real quick that, Jasmine, I'm so grateful that you felt the courage to share such a beautiful personal story, and just the multi-complex layers of meaning. And I'm super impressed by your journey of self-discovery and pushing yourself towards discovering the world and yourself, and especially through the vehicle of love for your grandfather. And I am convinced he's with you every single set and every single cloudy day.
Yeah, I know that throughout his life, he spent a lot of it just working and because he didn't speak English when he came to America, and it's super hard. So he didn't really, though he did do a lot of stuff he loved, nobody really got to see how he was a star in everything that he did as well. So I just want to show that throughout my life because I have the opportunity to. So yeah.
I would say your grandfather shines in the legacy that you carry with you and you express. It's really remarkably beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jasmine, one painting of yours that really stuck with me was behind me, the Chinese girl under the moon, the phoenix flying in the sky in the background. The phoenix, of course, from mythology, represents rebirth and finding success again after loss. And here in the Bay Area, the city of San Francisco, in the city flag, it's an image of the phoenix rising from the ashes to represent the city being rebuilt after the 1906 earthquake and fire. And so in this picture that you painted, to me, it's very symbolic to see the phoenix flying behind you as if it's the memory. So I love to see that.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. I think Ms. Rasmussen put it the best way. Like I don't know how to talk about things like that, and I think it's really beautiful that like this world has people like you who are comfortable expressing their emotions that way. I know myself, I don't always feel like the most comfortable putting in all my emotions and feelings and being open with it. So yes, exactly what Ms. Rasmussen said. It's really, really beautiful that you were able to share that with us today. Um, so that's pretty much it for our performance section. We hope that next year we'll have a lot more people and a lot more performances and perhaps food to share with you guys if it's in person. So we would like to move on to the clips and commentary portion of the event. So in order to give ample time for that, we should start early. A lot of our Model UN members have curated a few clips to show today regarding the affairs of the UN and talking about what's going on, and they wanted to share their insight with you and perhaps like start a discussion. And if you guys want to chime in and talk about anything that you get from the clips, that'll be beautiful. So
Oh, real quick, Amadea, I just wanted to share from ASSC. So ASSC has been working on using this app because we're not on campus, so we can't do giveaways. So I know it's kind of pathetic. We usually give y'all like food or shirts or flags or something, but at the very least, we have this Padlet to offer. This Padlet has not only all the links, it'll have the dance link, it'll have Jasmine's link, it'll have just memories you could take away from the event and keep always if you want to go back to it. If you're asked to write about the UN when you transfer to your four-year school, you can come back to this Padlet and hopefully find something to write about. So take that, please, from the chat box. And thank you, Amadea. Sorry I had to interject there.
No, thank you so much for sharing this memento of today. So if you guys ever want to look at it, it's right there. Ryan just put it in the chat. But yes, we can move on to our next portion. Alexander, would you like to start?
Sure. Here, I'll turn on my camera. And I will post the Padlet link so you guys can follow along, but I'll also be sharing my screen for ease of access. Oh, host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Do I have to enable that myself, or can I?
There. Okay. I think it's working. Okay. So first we have a little video from the event's TV station, and I'll just be showing a quick segment on this on the Special Decolonization Committee, and then we'll get into some colonial history. Oh. You can hear that okay?
The United Nations.
It's coming through okay? The sound.
Sure is. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Nations remains steadfast in its efforts to end colonialism around the world. Let's take a look at a quick history of the United Nations and decolonization. Chapter 11 of the Founding Charter of the UN addresses the issue of non-self-governing territories directly. It highlights the responsibilities of the administering powers to promote the well-being of the inhabitants of the territories and to develop their self-government. It also obliges administering powers to give information about their territories to the Secretary General. This is reflected in annual working papers prepared by the Decolonization Unit in the Department of Political and Peace-Building Affairs. Beginning in the 1960s, the General Assembly's resolve to support decolonization strengthened even further. A series of resolutions were passed that sought to assist the peoples of the territories to achieve self-determination according to their particular circumstances. The first, Resolution 1514, has come to be known as the Declaration on Decolonization. Further resolutions identify the ways in which peoples of these territories can achieve self-government. They include becoming a sovereign and independent state, free association with an independent state, integration into an independent state, or the emergence of any other political status freely determined by the people. The Special Committee on Decolonization is commonly referred to as the C24 because of its original composition of 24 member states. As a subsidiary organ of the UN General Assembly, the C24 is devoted to monitoring and making recommendations regarding NSGTs.
So that's that video, and then you can watch the full thing if you'd like. It's in the Padlet. But if you caught that last part, it's basically referring or recommending to the General Assembly what to do. And so, if I can just pull it up over here, it's the General Assembly. It has non-binding resolutions, so nothing affirmative has to happen. It's more just a recommendation. And with time, the Special Committee on Decolonization has started phasing out of relevance as continents like Africa and Southeast Asia have started to become independent and free states. And that's quite a significant achievement. And throughout history, there's been a lot of colonization. And we can see this in this little map. And to I guess, show you, Eurasia is relatively free. You see this dark blue or like light blue, that's Russia. The gray, of course, is independent, and then black is Europe. But even then, that had colonization. Take, for example, the British control of Ireland. And the rest of this world, at some point or another, used to be a colony. And so this includes all of Africa, India, Australia, all of South America, because the Spanish and Portuguese like that. Mexico, what's now California, Canada, and even Alaska and Greenland. And it's quite significant because we just had a presentation, per se, on the Polynesian culture. And of course, those were controlled by either US forces or French or British at various times. And of course, they've had their own struggles for independence. And so with this beautifully formatted Padlet that doesn't really like me, we see over here the ethnic groups. And they came about with the rise of nation states. And we see this first and foremost in France, with the French Republic, in which the government rules by the will of the people. And if you could think about this, why might people in the Congo not like Belgium and other than King Leopold? And well, he might not represent their interests. He might try and, say, enslave half the population or more. He might try and cut off their hands for disobedience. And it's just that a foreign entity might not have your best interests in mind. And throughout history, this is shown to be true time and time again. And just, it's led to a lot of nationalist movements that are attempting to separate. And if I can find part 3. So this picture is just a picture of literally Britain's colonial possessions at its peak. And so all of this was controlled by Britain. And of course, Canada, 13 colonies had already broken away at this time. They had India, very, very large swaths of Africa, Australia, Ireland, sections of the Middle East. You get the gist. It's quite a lot. And what's also interesting is that almost all of Africa was colonized, with a few exceptions, I think, in the East, in that they were almost always violently seized. And you have, say, people in the South, say like the Zulu tribes, they still had weapons at the time, they still had guns, but they were no match to British machine guns, who mowed them down and obliterated them. And it's quite unfortunate, because then the British proceeded to instill a bunch of very progressively racist ideals. Some of you may remember that even after British separated ties, there was still the South African apartheid, which is, well, it's segregation to the highest degree, which is a little bit scary. And then if I can find part 4 over here, and I will try and speed this up. There are some modern-day colonies, and most notably is Greenland. And there's still overseas possessions held by, say, Britain, France, Denmark, and quote-unquote America, if you want to count things like Guam and Puerto Rico. And I want to talk a little bit about Greenland, because Greenland is choosing to become a colony, and its struggle for independence, and it's moving into the category of a colonial possession under EU laws, which is still technically ruled by Denmark, but it has increased autonomy. So it can have an anthem, it can have a flag, while receiving all that lovely, lovely Danish aid. And the Greenland anthem is just, it's so pretty. I need to show you guys. Whole thing, of course, it's all in the Padlet, but Iqaluit is just, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Iqaluit is, or the Inuktitut are the people and they speak Iqaluit, but it's just such a beautiful language. And of course, as you may know, America is no exception to this, and we're not very good. We have very terrible history in places like Cuba and the Caribbean, and of course, we come from a colony. We come from 13 British colonies, and we've done some terrible things in our own existence. We've in Manifest Destiny, we've cleared out just huge swaths, millions upon millions of indigenous peoples as we settled westward for the graciousness of the white folk. And even recently, I believe in the 20th century, there was the overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii, and the instilling of a US-backed regime, and then it would eventually become the 50th state. And so that's a little bit unfortunate. And yeah, I mean, that's all I have for you guys.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We would like to give the mic to Kaya and Nathan. You guys ready? Hello.
While they're preparing, I just want to thank you for that presentation. And like I said, it's really interesting what's going on, because right now the Pacific French territories are trying to kick France out of their islands, basically. So they've been asking UN, and last year, only in May 2019, when they did have the big meeting, every country was present for the meeting except France, which is very telling of how they feel, because they don't want to let go of their territories. So I thought that was very interesting to see happen at the United Nations level. Thank you, Alexander. Very knowledgeable, very, very nicely put together presentation.
Thank you. And if I can just add one more thing, France still has, it's very hesitant to fork over its colonial or overseas possessions, and the European Union is sometimes a little bit for that too, which is unfortunate. And the European Space Agency has its launch pad based in French Guiana, which is in northeast South America, which is quite interesting.
The sisters that y'all just watched, their oldest brother is stationed there for the French military in French Guiana. So he lives out there with his family, but he's stationed there for like a couple years. And it's just interesting. It's like, what are they doing here in the middle of South America? So yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
Hey, Alexander, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What's your opinion on the Falklands War that happened in the 80s? Because I feel like that's really relevant to what you're talking about right now.
Argentina, it really depends. I'm not quite sure as to the ethnic groups that originally inhabited Argentina. I'm pretty sure it was unpopulated. Right now it's just dominated by the sheep industry, and this primarily agriculture based, and it's held by Britain, of course. I'm not too sure. I mean, it would seem it would be rightful for it to be held by a South American country, if not independent, but of course it's settled by British people, so that itself is a problem.
Cool. All right. Seeing that we have no more questions, we got a thumbs up from Carlos. So we'll move on to Nathan and Kaya. If I was told that Nathan is going to be streaming the video, do you have the ability to, or?
Let me check.
I can make him co-host right now. There you go.
Okay, cool.
Is it doing the thing?
Yes.
Cool. How would I improve that, the audio quality, the volume?
If it's not working with the slider, try upping your system volume.
I think it's already. Let me check.
If you want, you could send the video to me and then I could share it. I don't think I have problems with the audio.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Got it? All right. We'll let Umaima go ahead and do her video afterwards. So, okay, I just got the link. So here, let me just open it and share my screen. Here we go. All right, tell me if you can hear it, because
Oh, can't hear actually.
okay. All right.
Wait, Amadei, I think you just needed to click on Zoom, share computer sound.
Oh, share computer sound. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Under the share button.
And the ultimate betrayal of public trust.
Good.
Is even more damaging in times of crisis, as the world is experiencing now with the COVID-19 pandemic. The response to the virus is creating new opportunities to exploit weak oversight and inadequate transparency, diverting funds away from people in their hour of greatest need. Governments may act in haste without verifying suppliers or determine fair prices. Unscrupulous merchants peddle faulty products such as defective ventilators, poorly manufactured tests, or counterfeit medicines. And collusion among those who control supply chains has led to outrageous costs of much-needed goods, skewing the market and denying many people life-saving treatment. We must work together to stop such thievery and exploitation by clamping down on illicit financial flows and tax havens, tackling the vested interests that benefit from secrecy and corruption, and exercising utmost vigilance over how resources are spent nationally. Together, we must create more robust systems of accountability, transparency, and integrity without delay. We must hold leaders to account. Business people must act responsibly. A vibrant civic space and open access to information are essential. And we must protect the rights and recognize the courage of whistleblowers who expose wrongdoing. Technological advances can help increase transparency and better monitor procurement of medical supplies. Anti-corruption bodies need greater support and empowerment. The United Nations itself continues to prioritize transparency and accountability in and beyond the COVID-19 response. For many people in all regions, corruption has been a long-standing source of distrust and anger against their leaders and governments. But corruption in the time of COVID-19 has the potential to seriously undermine good governance around the world and to send us even further off track in our work to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. I urge all governments and all leaders to be transparent and accountable and to use the tools provided by the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. As an age-old plague takes on new forms, let us combat it with new heights of resolve.
Okay, so, sorry. Kai and I have chosen to analyze this video about corruption within the COVID-19 pandemic. And as discussed in the short film, the pandemic has opened up the possibility for people to take advantage of one another, such as selling false products at unreasonable prices.
As published in numerous news articles, companies all over the world have been accused and fined for selling overpriced face masks. According to the New York Post, Amazon has banned over 1 million fake coronavirus products, such as products that have been seen in numerous other situations, such as hand sanitizers, as companies and individuals' prices gouge by selling through the fear they instill in their customers. The pandemic has opened up a new level of vulnerability as families go through these desperate times and go through desperate measures in an attempt to protect their loved ones. Though not as extreme as it was around May, there are countless people around the world who are continuously driven to make irrational decisions out of fear, and others who amplify this fear to make a profit. Individuals and companies alike are trying to make a profit from corrupt practices which continually make the public lose trust in online stores and companies. Through the economic crisis, businesses are also competing for customers' trust as they try to keep from going under, but practices of corruption make it immensely different for small businesses to gain that trust. Not only are people slowly turning against one another, but these corrupt practices are also impendent to families across the world who are trying to obtain a single face mask, one that could save the life of another. Corruption also leads to fraud. Online ad traps users into giving away critical information by baiting them with the possibility to earn some cash. Fraud cases have appeared due to people falling into these traps, such as within player-to-player apps. It's people-to-people apps, like Venmo or PayPal.
Hi, I'm going to talk now. Moreover, corruption has integrated itself into government organizations, one that people should be able to trust. With no real idea how the outside world is proceeding because we're all trapped within our own homes, we look to social media and statistics to gauge how the pandemic is proceeding. However, unfortunate as it may be, it has been discovered that COVID statistics may have been inflated in the name of profit. Compared to attending to other viruses, it turns out that hospitals are paid more to fight COVID, which therefore has caused hospitals to mark deaths as COVID cause, even if lab tests have not been provided to validate these causes. As Armstrong Economics states, the numbers will then be used to justify keeping the money flowing to misrepresent this as an epidemic. This fraud will then come back to justify keeping the economy locked down longer, and the AMA is now contributing to the destruction of everyone's livelihood, pension, and this exposes the corruption that always emerges with government programs. As cases of fraud upon corruption upon bribery keep piling up, we are creating our own downfall. Corruption is well and alive, which calls for citizens to unite and demand accountability from each other in government institutions. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. Thank you for the information. We're running a little short, so I'll let Umaima go. And I have her link here, and I will be playing that for everyone. It's very short, so let's just dive right in. Okay. Thank you, Kaya and Nathan, so much for your presentation. I can tell you guys put a lot of work into that. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Hear my audio.
Nearly 80 million women, children, and men around the world have been forced from their homes as refugees or internally displaced people. Even more shocking, 10 million of these people fled in the past year alone. On World Refugee Day, we pledge to do everything in our power to end the conflict and persecution that drive these appalling numbers. Today, we also recognize the generosity and humanity of host communities and countries that often struggle with their own economic and security concerns. We owe these countries our thanks, our support, and our investment. We must all work to re-establish the integrity of the international protection regime and to implement the pledges made at the Global Refugee Forum so that refugees and host communities receive the support they need. This year, the COVID-19 pandemic poses an additional threat to refugees and displaced people who are among the most vulnerable. My recent policy brief on COVID-19 and people on the move called on governments to ensure that they are included in all response and recovery efforts. Refugees and displaced people are also prominent among those who are stepping up to make a difference on the front lines of the response. From camps in Bangladesh to hospitals in Europe, refugees are working as nurses, doctors, scientists, teachers, and in other essential roles, protecting themselves and giving back to the communities that host them. On World Refugee Day, we thank refugees for their resourcefulness and determination to rebuild their own lives and to improve the lives of those around them. Today and every day, we stand in unity and solidarity with refugees and recognize our fundamental obligation to shelter those fleeing war and persecution.
All right.
All right, guys, these are absolutely unprecedented times. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. We were in a very different place last year at this time, and we're in a very different place this year. The world is still witnessing the highest level of displacements on record. So I decided to debunk 5 myths that we have about refugees. The first one is that stricter border controls, measures like fences and walls, reduce irregular immigration. That's wrong. Building fences does not stop refugee influx. It merely shifts it to other countries and literally creates more human misery. So there are better ways and more credible, legal, and safe ways to reach these countries and create paths for making it easier for them. Secondly, the process of admitting immigrants in countries like the United States is not secure and terrorists can enter easily. That's wrong. United States has the most difficult way to enter inside as a refugee legally. I think there's a process of over 18 to 24 months where you're screened by different agencies, state and federal. I think it's Department of Homeland Security, the Department of State, the Department of Defense, the National Counterterrorism Center, and the FBI above all. So that's a lot to be screened. Honestly, it's easier to come here on a visa. Then, do migrants and refugees take jobs away from local people? No, that's not true. Migrants are actually counted for 47% of increase in the workforce in the United States alone and 70% in Europe. This data is over the past 10 years. They often do take jobs that are less willing to do or take and can help fill gaps in the job market. So it's really better for the economy as for such countries. Is this migration good or bad for the countries they're migrating to? Honestly, it's good. There's a proven reality that these migrations bring benefits, fueling growth, innovation, entrepreneurship, and for both countries. And also above that, remittances, because these migrants send money back to their places and that contributes to a lot in economy. Lastly, what can people do? There's this thing that, we as everyday people can't do anything about it. We can do a lot about it. Really, honestly, we can volunteer, we can raise awareness, we can talk to people about it, we can petition, we can donate, and there's so much that we can do to help people. And just, we're weeks away from election, and I think this is the perfect time to talk about such things and think about what the future leaders are gonna do about it. So yeah, that's all I have to say for it.
Thank you so much for being able to condense everything into the few minutes that we have left. We went a little bit over time. We're supposed to take an event photo right now. Brian, did you?
Yeah, if everybody can come on camera and then we can go ahead and screenshot that. Come on, Ricardo, Max, who else? I'll call you out. Lexus, Chris.
So I would, but I'm wearing Halloween makeup, so I look a little bit odd.
Nah, it's okay. That makes
okay, I guess. This is gonna be so.
Well, now we have to see it. Yeah, there you go.
Let me turn the light on.
All right. Lexus and Ricardo, are you able to get on with us? Yeah. Oh, there's a middle college Halloween party after. All right, folks, ready? I'm gonna count to 3. 1, 2, and 3. And let's see, one more time. Let's see. Here we go. And 1, 2. Oh, Carlos, where'd he go? 1, 2, 3. Oh, Carlos is putting his dog in. Okay, one more, guys. Ready? And 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you very much for the photo, everybody. I'll put that in the Padlet.
Yay. All right. So this concludes our UN Day celebration for this year. If anybody wants to talk about this more with us, we have our meetings on Wednesdays at 3:15. So yeah, we can, please join us. If this was at all interesting to you, we go into different topics every week, and we go to committees and conferences to like compete and simulate how debate would happen in the UN. So thank you everybody for joining us today. Anything else you guys want to say? Tim?
One more round of applause for these.
I think he's frozen.
I think he was going to say something along the lines, just a round of applause for everybody who presented. It was awesome. It was great. And I think we all learned a lot, you know. I'll fill that one in.
I think, yeah, I think that's about right.
All right, folks. Thank you very much for coming, and we appreciate you
Thank
all,
you.
especially our Model UN Club. We're very proud of you folks, and we encourage you to please consider running for ASSC.
Amazing students who...
Oh.
This is
Okay, I'm
gonna
going to
keep
stop
on
recording now.